Listen closely because what I'm about to reveal will change how you see relationships and yourself forever. Most men spend their entire lives chasing, begging, and bending over backward for a woman's attention, only to end up empty-handed, frustrated, and invisible. But what if I told you there's a way to flip the script, to become the man women pursue instead of the one pleading for scraps? This isn't manipulation. This isn't a trick. This is the raw, unfiltered truth about what really makes a man irresistible. And once you hear it, you'll never go back to the way you were before. I'm not here to waste your time with empty platitudes or tired cliches. I'm here to expose the brutal reality most men refuse to face. Women don't chase men who need them. They chase men who inspire them, who radiate a quiet, unshakable confidence that says, I am the prize, and the moment you embody this, everything changes. The power shifts, the dynamic flips, and suddenly, you're not the one fighting for her attention, she's fighting for yours. But here's the catch. This isn't about pretending. This isn't about faking it until you make it. This is about transformation. A complete rewiring of how you think, act, and carry yourself in the world. And if you're ready to leave behind the weak, needy version of yourself and step into the kind of man women can't ignore, then don't you dare look away. Because what comes next will be the most important lesson of your life. This is your wake-up call. The question is, are you ready to answer it? Let's begin with a fundamental truth, one that most men never grasp, and that failure, them everything. You've been conditioned to believe that pursuit is the path to success, that if you want something, especially a woman, you must chase it down, outwork the competition, prove your worth through relentless effort. But here's the brutal reality. Chasing is the fastest way to lose. It doesn't just fail, it backfires. And the reason is rooted in something far deeper than dating tactics or social dynamics. It's embedded in human nature itself. Think about it. When you chase, what are you really communicating? You're signaling lack. You're broadcasting scarcity. You're telling her through your actions that you need her more than she needs you. And nothing kills attraction faster than that. Women, like all people, are drawn to those who stand firmly in their own value, who don't plead, don't scramble, permission to exist. They're repelled by desperation because desperation is weakness, and weakness is dangerous. Evolutionarily, it's a terrible signal. A man who chases is a man who hasn't secured his own survival, his own purpose, his own throne. And no high-quality woman wants to tie herself to that. Now contrast that with the man who doesn't chase, the man who is so absorbed in his mission, so committed to his own excellence, that he doesn't have time to beg for attention. That man is rare. That man stands out. Not because he's playing games, but because he's playing an entirely different sport. He's not focused on her. He's focused on becoming the kind of man she can't ignore. And that shift from chasing to attracting changes everything. Attraction isn't something you negotiate. It's something you command. It's then a woman's validation, his purpose. When you're consumed by a mission, when your days are filled with meaningful work, when your identity isn't tied to whether or not she texts you back, something remarkable happens. You stop monitoring her every move. You stop dissecting her tone. You stop rearranging your life to accommodate her whims. And that shift from orbiting her world to being the center of your own is what makes you magnetic. Here's why this works. People value what they have to earn. If your attention is given freely, without standards, it becomes cheap. But if your attention must be earned through respect, through reciprocity, through genuine connection, it becomes valuable. This isn't manipulation, it's basic economics. Scarcity in who hasn't proven their investment in you. You create that scarcity naturally. You communicate without saying a word that your time, your energy, your presence are not guaranteed. They must be deserved. Now let's talk about respect. Because detachment means nothing if you don't enforce boundaries. Most men tolerate disrespect because they fear the alternative, losing her. But here's the truth they never consider. A woman who disrespects you doesn't want you. She wants the version of you that tolerates it. The moment you allow it, you become complicit in your own diminishment. And no one, least of all a high-quality woman, is attracted to a man who has no backbone. Demanding respect isn't about aggression or ultimatums. It's about quiet, unwavering standards. It's the ability to say, expect to be treated, take it or leave it. When she tests you, and she will, because all people test boundaries, you don't negotiate. You don't plead. You simply withdraw. Not as punishment, but as a natural consequence. Because a man who respects himself doesn't entertain disrespect from others. And that refusal, that willingness to walk away, is what separates the men who are chaste from the men who beg. This is where most men fail. They confuse attachment with love, neediness with passion. They think that if they care deeply, they must show it through constant attention, through emotional dependency. But that's not love. That's insecurity masquerading as devotion. Real strength lies in the ability to care deeply while remaining autonomous. To love without losing yourself. But that's not how this works. The prize isn't self-declared, it's self-evident. It's in the way you carry yourself when no one's watching. The way you treat people who can't do anything for you. The way you handle adversity. Women and the world are watching. Always. So how do you start today, right now? By asking yourself one question. Would I chase me? If the answer isn't an immediate yes, you know what to do. Build. Refine. Demand more from yourself than anyone else ever could. Because the prize isn't born. It's forged. And the moment you decide you're worth the effort is the moment everything changes. The choice is yours. Remain another face in the crowd or become the man who stands apart. But remember, no one will treat you like the prize until you do. There's a fundamental law of human interaction that most men never deeply. Who creates, who leads, who stands for something? That's a man who becomes unforgettable. Ask yourself, what do I bring to the table that no one else can? If the answer isn't clear, you've got work to do. Now let's address the elephant in the room. Ego. Becoming the prize isn't about narcissism. It's not about strutting through life expecting applause. In fact, the men who truly operate at this level are often the most grounded because they don't need external validation to confirm their worth. They know. And that knowing is what makes them magnetic. It's the difference between a king and a tyrant. One rules with quiet authority, the other with brittle insecurity. Here's where most men fail. They confuse being the prize with acting entitled. They demand respect they haven't earned, admiration they haven't cultivated, grasp, and their ignorance of it costs them dearly. The more you need something, the less likely you are to get it. This isn't some mystical philosophy, it's observable reality. When you cling to a woman's approval, when you structure your emotional well-being around her attention, you don't just appear weak, you become weak. And weakness, in any form, is repulsive. Not because women are cruel, but because nature is. Survival favors those who can stand on their own. So if you want to be chaste, if you want to be desired rather than tolerated, you must master the art of detachment. Detachment isn't indifference. It's not about pretending you don't care when you do. That's just another form of neediness, a performance rather than a position of strength. True detachment is the natural state of a man who has something more important, natural byproduct of a life well lived, of a man who has sorted himself out, who has faced his demons and conquered them, who has built something meaningful. When you operate at that level, you don't need to convince anyone of your worth. It's self-evident. Your presence carries weight. Your silence carries authority. Your attention becomes a gift, not a given. And that's when women start to lean in. That's when they begin to chase. But here's the critical distinction. This isn't about manipulation. It's about integrity. You're not pretending to be indifferent. You're actually indifferent because your self-worth isn't tied to her approval. You're not withholding attention to play mind games. You're directing your attention where it matters most, toward your purpose. And when a woman sees that, when she realizes you're not, if you walked into a high-end auction with a painting you believed was worthless, how would the bidders react? They'd ignore it. But if you carried that same painting with the quiet confidence of a man who knows it's a lost masterpiece, their curiosity would ignite. Your belief in its value would become theirs. The same principle applies to you. You teach people how to treat you by how you treat yourself. If you act like an afterthought, you'll be treated like one. If you carry yourself like the prize, the world and women will respond accordingly. So what does it mean practically to become the prize? It starts with understanding that value isn't given, it's built. You don't negotiate your worth, you demonstrate it. Every day in your discipline, your integrity, your refusal to tolerate mediocrity in yourself or your suru, orbiting her world but instead building your own, something primal kicks in. She wonders. She second guesses. She starts to question whether she's good enough for you. And that's the moment the tables turn. This isn't just theory, it's observable psychology. Scarcity increases perceived value. The less available you are, the more intriguing you become, but only if that scarcity is authentic. If you're pretending to be busy while obsessing over her every move, she'll see right through it. The goal isn't to fake detachment. It's to cultivate a life so rich that detachment is your default state. You're not ignoring her, you're simply focused on something more important, and that focus is magnetic. So, how do you make this shift? First, you have to kill the beggar mentality. No more over texting, no more over apologizing, no. Are you chasing or are you attracting? Are you living like a man who demands respect or like a man who hopes for it? The answer will determine not just your success with women, but the trajectory of your entire life. Choose wisely. Let's address something uncomfortable but necessary. Most men live their entire lives as spectators in their own story, waiting for permission to matter, hoping someone will anoint them as valuable. But here's the truth no one tells you. No one is coming to validate you. The world doesn't hand out prizes to those who merely show up. Women don't chase men who see themselves as options. They chase men who operate like the prize, because those are the only men who actually are. This isn't about arrogance. It's about a fundamental recalibration of how you perceive your own worth. More rearranging your schedule just to accommodate her whims. You're a man with priorities, not a puppy waiting for scraps. Second, you have to fill your life with purpose. If your existence revolves around women, you'll always be the one chasing. But if your existence revolves around something greater, your craft, your legacy, your growth, then women become a complement to your life, not the center of it. And that's when they start showing up differently. Finally, you have to internalize this truth. You are the prize, not her. You. Until you believe that at a bone-deep level, no tactic will save you. Confidence isn't something you fake. It's something you earn through discipline, through achievement, through self-respect. And once you've earned it, the chasing stops. Because you won't need to. So ask yourself right now, dings. A prize isn't just something rare, it's something earned. And that's the key distinction most men miss. They want the results, the attention, the respect, the attraction, without the labor of becoming someone who deserves it. But life doesn't work that way. Let's break it down further. Becoming the prize requires 3 non-negotiable pillars. First, mastery of self. You cannot be the prize if you're ruled by laziness, insecurity, or impulse. Mastery means showing up even when you don't feel like it. Training your body, sharpening your mind, refining your craft. It means looking in the mirror and demanding more from the man staring back at you. Because here's the brutal part. Women can smell self-disgust beneath bravado. They can sense when you're performing confidence instead of embodying it. Competence, from knowing deep down that you've put in the work. Second, unshakable standards. Prizes don't beg for attention, they command it. That means walking away from anything and anyone that doesn't meet your criteria. Most men tolerate disrespect because they fear scarcity. They think, if I don't accept crumbs, I'll starve. But that's the paradox. The moment you stop accepting crumbs is the moment you're offered the whole meal when you refuse to settle. You communicate without a word that you're accustomed to better. And people, especially women, rise to meet that expectation. Third, irreplaceability. The prize isn't just valuable, it's unique. It can't be replicated by the next guy who walks in the room. Between warmth and independence is what creates lasting attraction. So, how do you cultivate this? Start by auditing your own behavior. Do you text her first every time? Do you cancel plans to accommodate her? Do you prioritize her moods over your own stability? If the answer is yes, you're not in a relationship. You're in servitude. Detachment begins with reclaiming your sovereignty. It means letting her come to you sometimes. It means maintaining your routines even when she's available. It means remembering that your worth isn't determined by her presence or her absence. And when respect is violated, when she's late without apology, when she dismisses your feelings, when she plays games, you don't explode. You don't grovel. You act. You distance yourself, not to manipulate her, but to honor yourself. Tolerate disrespect, you train her to see you as someone who deserves it. This is the paradox at the heart of attraction. The less you need her, the more she'll want you. Not because you've tricked her, but because you've shown her something rare. A man who cannot be bought, who cannot be bullied, who cannot be diminished by anyone's indifference. That kind of man isn't just attractive. He's unforgettable. So ask yourself today, are you holding on because you choose to or because you're afraid to let go? Are your actions rooted in strength or in fear? The answer will determine not just your relationships, but the trajectory of your life. Because in the end, the world doesn't reward those who cling. It rewards those who dare to stand alone. The choice is yours. Keep chasing or become the man who's chased. But remember, no one will value you more than you value yourself.